Hello everyone, it's Space Chaser again. Welcome to another model review video. And this is the first appearance of Creative Master Northcord in these model review videos that I've done. It's not the first Creative Master Northcord model that I've had. I've had quite a few over the years, but as I've explained in some of the previous videos, I've had to sell my collection at various points in times past, and I tend to sell a lot of the models that I have because I haven't got room to store them. So I have owned quite a few of these. I've repainted quite a few as well. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I've had to sell them for one reason or another, and that was before I did the model review video. So this is the first one to appear in a video. And we've got the Alexander Dennis Enviro 200. So Creative Master Northcord Limited were founded in the early 2000s. In about 2003 they released the first models for the UK market. They introduced a new level of detail, as we'll see when we look around it. You can see, if I'll just show you the interior, the kind of detail that they managed to achieve. And they put some of the earlier die-casts from other manufacturers to shame, really. Unfortunately, towards the end of 2011, they ceased trading. They went bankrupt, as did many of the model manufacturers. Just a perfect storm of increased labour costs in China, increased transport costs around the world, and various global financial crashes and things that meant people didn't have as much money to spend on models. However, in November 2012 it was announced that a new company had been founded to take over the assets of Creative Master Northcord, led by Danny Chan, and that company was called Northcord Model Company. So they released various models that Creative Master Northcord had already announced. They released those, including a couple of the Enviro 200s. And then it kind of went quiet. Northcord have released various of the Enviro 400 double-deckers over the years, and a few other models. They've introduced a couple of new ones like the Enviro 400 MMC as well. But the Enviro 200, nothing was produced from the early days of Northcord Model Company when they, as I say, issued the ones that Creative Master Northcord had already announced. Until the current day. I'm doing this in January 2025, and for about 12 or 13 years none of the Enviro 200s have been released. In March 2024 it was announced that the Enviro 200 castings were being fine-tuned, and there was hopes that they were going to start producing it again. However, in December 2024 it was announced that the castings have been sold to Model Buses Creations, which so they're going to reintroduce the Enviro 200. They've announced two models so far for release in 2025, the Stagecoach East and Stagecoach London models, so that should be good. So this model will be going back into production in 2025, albeit with a new manufacturer. So the Alexander Dennis Enviro 200, unless you've been living on Mars for the last 40 years, you've probably heard of Dennis Dart. And to be fair, even if you have been living on Mars, you've probably still heard of the Dennis Dart. I'm guessing there's probably some running around there. They were so ubiquitous. In the early 2000s, Dennis, who had manufactured the Dart, found themselves in common ownership with bodybuilders Alexander and Plaxton as part of Transbus International. Now, Transbus started to develop a replacement for the Dennis Dart that was called the Transbus Enviro 200. They built about 5 prototypes, and then unfortunately Transbus went bankrupt. The British operations, so Dennis, Alexander and Plaxton, were rescued by a new company called Alexander Dennis, and they dusted off the plans for the Dart replacement, the Enviro 200. They made some changes. The ones that Transbus built were quite experimental in some features. It's not really relevant to this review, so I won't discuss it. But they made it a little bit more normal and put it into production. It went into production in 2006. The Northcord model does represent the earlier production versions between 2006 and around 2009. In 2009, the model was updated to meet the European vehicle whole vehicle type approval regulations. The most notable change was that the emergency exit moved from its normal position at the rear of the offside to around here in the low floor section. The logic being, of course, that if people didn't have the mobility to climb up the steps to get to the seats at the back in the first place, it was a bit much to expect them in an emergency to climb up those same steps and then drop out of an emergency exit that was up in the air. So the emergency exit went onto the low floor section. The front end changed as well. Instead of having these sort of flattish looking front panels, just try and get the camera to focus, there we go. they had like a little bit of a concave effect. It wasn't massively noticeable, but it was different. And the back end was changed as well. This is the original back as featured on the Northcord model, and as featured on a bit of a rubbish drawing. That's how the back looked on the redone version in 2009, with just like elliptical recess bit at the bottom with a registration plate in. So the Northcord model, as I say, does represent the vehicle between about 2006 and 2009. So you're looking at 09 registrations as the latest, possibly 59. You can maybe get away with a 10 plate if you modelled a vehicle that had been produced and then had been stood at a dealership for a while. There were a handful of vehicles on later registration plates, like 11 and 61 plates, that had the emergency exit at the rear. And the reason for that was they were built as two-door buses for London. Now, the European Vehicle Hull Type Approval Regulations stated that if the bus had two doors, you could regard the centre exit door as the emergency exit, so you didn't need an offside emergency exit. So they were built with two doors and without an emergency exit. When they were withdrawn from London service and sold to other operators elsewhere in the country, those operators wanted to rebuild them to single door. And as part of that, they had to fit an emergency exit, which was done on the at the rear of the offside in the old position. So you can see some vehicles with later registration plates with an emergency door there. However, the front and the rear will still be different to the Northcord model, but you can kind of fudge it a little bit. So Creative Master Northcord did two lengths of Enviro 200. They did the short 8.9 metre version, which is the one we've got, not 9.8 metre as it says on the Model Bus Zone website, but it was a model of the 8.9 metre version, and they also did a model of the longer 10.7 metre version. Now we've only got the short one, but it doesn't matter, I can do a review, because how the vehicle worked in real life and in model form was that the front wheel forward and the rear wheel backward were the same on any length of Enviro 200. It was the same panelling, basically, the same sort of size, etc. The only variation was what was in between them. So all it is on a longer version, you've got more metal work, more windows and more roof, basically. That's it. So you can do a review and get the gist of what the model looks like. As I said, the longer version just got more of this in the middle, that's all. So the one we've got is catalogue number UK Bus 8009, released in December 2008. 1,100 of them were produced, and it's a representation of Arriva London North, vehicle EN1, registered LJ57USS, en route 192 to Enfield. It doesn't say that on the blind, I'll explain that when I start to look around it. Confusingly, all the Enviro 200s that Creative Master Northcord were released were done in a common catalogue number series, so the short versions and long versions are all mixed up together. You can't tell by the catalogue number which length the vehicle is. So I'll quickly run through the history of the real EN1 and then we'll have a look around the model. So EN1 LJ57 USS was new in January 2008 to Arriva London North for route 192, which ran between Tottenham Hale and Enfield Town. It was allocated to Lee Valley Garage in October 2013. Responsibility for the route passed to Enfield Garage and the bus was reallocated there. And then in November 2014, the contract to run the 192 passed to Go Ahead London General, who took the route and the bus over and renumbered it TEN1, so 10-1. It didn't last much longer than that. New Right Streetlights took the route over in 2015, and as far as I can tell, this bus was withdrawn and scrapped. It doesn't appear to have operated for anybody else after Go Ahead London General. It might seem a bit strange that the bus was withdrawn just 8 years old, but they did. The early Enviro 200s in real life, the build quality was quite poor on them. I remember getting on a 56 plate one with East Yorkshire when it was almost brand new, and the heating didn't work, and when it moved everything rattled and banged. The noise was horrific, so the build quality of them wasn't very good. Alexander Dennis did address that. When they introduced the 2009 version, they improved the build quality and they kept improving it over the years. In 2014 they introduced a new version of the Enviro 200 known as the Enviro 200 MMC, MMC being major model change, completely restyled. but the original design continued in production as the Enviro 200 Classic until 2018, but they did constantly upgrade the build quality. I remember when they still used to run the Nottingham to Peterborough bus service, going on it just for a laugh, basically, you know, just something to do to experience the route. And my heart sinking in Broadmarsh bus station in Nottingham when I saw an Enviro 200 blinded up for the route, stood on the parking area. I'm like, no. But it was a 14 plate bus, and it was a really, really nice bus. There were no rattles, no bangs, nothing. It was a lovely bus to travel on. So they did improve the build quality a lot. But as I say, the early ones, including the 57 plate ones that the real bus would have been, the build quality was often terrible. So it's not beyond the bounds of possibility that it was simply withdrawn and scrapped at just 8 years old, basically. 7 years old, should I say. The build quality of the Creative Master Northcord model is far better than a lot of the originals were. So that is it for the history. Let's have a look around the bus. The general impression of it is pretty good. The 8.9 metre version of the Enviro 200 looks quite diminutive, and that is captured really, really well by this model. They do look pretty small. If we start at the front as we normally do, let me just try and get the camera to lighten up and focus. There we go. The shape of it is really, really good. The windscreen curves back as it should. It should have windscreen wipers. It doesn't appear to have them. I've bought a second-hand one. It should have wipers. It should have mirrors. It hasn't got either. It should also have a box. It doesn't have one of those either. I have got some new Northcord Model Company Enviro 400 double-deckers on pre-order. I'll be doing reviews of those, so you will see buses with wipers and mirrors and boxes for that matter. But yeah, it looks pretty good. The destination blind as produced is behind the glass. What's happened is somebody's tried to do a code 3 on this one, and they've put a new destination on the outside to save taking the bus apart. Just bear with me a second, I'll get my thumbnail out. And there you go, via some judicious scraping, we've got the original blind back. So the blind is behind the glass, as you can see, which looks really, really good. The front panel is nice, all the details there, the little intake there and things like that. A lot of Enviro 200s had the lights surrounded by a sort of silver plastic surround, but some operators, including Arriva London North, specified them in body colour, which is correctly modelled there. And again, the front, the bumper area looks pretty good as well. Registration plate correctly in a recess, and you've got little Transport for London stickers there, the wheelchair sticker on the front. Ignore the condition of it. Again, I've bought a second-hand one that's a restoration project. There's been glue on the windows, as you can see. Somebody's tried to glue the mirror back on by the look of it and failed. But yeah, there's nothing you can do about that. I've scraped off the big blob of glue that was on, but this little marking is going to be there forever. Once you get it on, you can't get it off again. Nice little feature is the tax and operator license discs in the window there. That looks really, really good. The handrails for the door are actually printed on to the back of the door, but they look pretty decent actually, and there is some relief to the door. The sort of rubber in the middle is represented. Bit of relief to the windows as well. The Northcord models represent the ones with bonded glazing, generally speaking. It's the glazing sort of glued to the structure. They did do a couple that were supposed to be gasket glazed, but they basically look like this, so they weren't very effective. I believe there was one with round cornered gasket glazed windows that was done in pre-production but never actually was produced. But as far as I understand it, a few of the pre-production models did actually make it out to dealers and were sold. So if you've got one with sort of round cornered gasket glazed windows, you're probably sitting on a gold mine. The panelling looks quite good. The wheels look very nice indeed. The tyres as well, that's really good. A couple of little notes on the side of one of these. You will sometimes find these buses for sale with the windows detached. The windows on Creative Master Northcord single deck models go in from the outside. The double deckers tend to come in from the inside, but the single deckers, they go in from the outside, and they do tend to fall off sometimes. So you will find them for sale with the windows detached and loose. Snap the dealer's hand off, because you get a big discount for that. Obviously the model's damaged and they knock a bit off the price, or quite a lot off the price, but it's the easiest repair job in the world. Behind these printed pillars there are some metal body pillars. And there's some square holes in them with a couple of little tags that go in on the window unit. Usually they've given up the ghost if the windows have fallen out. But all you do, a couple of dabs of glue on the metal pillars behind, put the windows in, put the bus on its side, just put a bit of weight on it while the glue dries and they go back in. It is the simplest repair ever. It takes less time to do it than it took me to tell you about it. And it's, you know, you've got then a decent model back, and like you say, you get a massive discount if you find one for sale in that condition. One thing that Northcord models do suffer from sometimes, not that often but sometimes, I don't know if you can see it on the video, is they do get a bit of paint rash. You can see there, just under this window, that the paint is bubbling. That's not because of the various Code 3 attempts. Obviously the big paint finger mark there is down to one of the previous owners, but the bubbling there is paint rash. The paint starts to bubble, and so it needs sanding off and repainting basically. It does happen sometimes on Northcord models, and indeed on those of other manufacturers as well. So it is something to look out for if you're buying one second hand for your display case and you don't want to repaint it. Just have a look at the paintwork. The side blind should be printed behind the window. It's been painted over in black on this because somebody's again tried to Code 3 it a little bit. The legal lettering correctly printed on the back window there, just under the back window. So we go around to the rear. It looks very good. Again, it captures the look of the rail bus, this unique shape of the surround of the back window. Again, the number blind is behind the glazing, which looks really good. Backlights look decent. The rear bumper panel again looks good. The bonnet should open, the engine cover should open, but this one doesn't. It's been glued shut. If you open it, behind it there is an engine which looks like that. That is a Creative Master Northcord Enviro 200 engine. Basically, if I repaint Creative Master Northcord models, I take the engines out because it's easier to get the chassis back in with the engine removed. So that's what the engine would look like if you could get the engine cover open. You will find them for sale sometimes with the engine cover detached as well. It just clips back in. It's not a hard repair at all, so again, don't worry about that. You will get a discount on the price for the damage, and it's really easy to repair it. And in fact, you know, if you won't clip back in, you can just glue it back on and not have it opening if you're not bothered about the opening panel. You can, I was on about the later style of back, you can modify it. All these panels, the engine cover and the bumper come off. You can see there is the back bumper panel. See, there's like a little clip on it. I'll talk about that a little bit in the future when I finish having a look around it. But yeah, you can remove all that and you can put like a bit of plastic in to represent the later style of back. I've done that before on the bus. Obviously emergency exit is still there, not there, but again, you can do one of the ex-London buses that was a bit later in registration, but had the emergency exit put there later on. Round to the offside now, it looks really good. There's a lot of relief to this grille, which is good because that's a prominent feature of these Enviro 200s, this big engine ventilation grille. And everything looks pretty good. There's a lot of relief to the surround of the door and things. It's not just printed on, so that looks really, really nice. And yet the overall effect is very nice indeed. There is a bit of damage to the tyre there. That was mentioned in the listing when I bought it. I bought this from eBay. Not a major problem. What I'll do is one of two things. Either take the tyre off, turn it over and put it back on with the undamaged rear bit there facing outwards, or what I could do is swap it with the inner rear tyre there. So take off that perfectly good tyre there, put that one behind there where it can't be seen, and then put obviously that one onto the front wheel. So again, if you've got one with a damaged tyre, don't worry, there's a very, very quick and easy solution to it. Not much to report on the roof apart from I've got bits of the destination blind that I've just removed all over it. But yeah, it's just basically a flat panel as it should be in real life. Because it's a model of a London bus, you've got the fleet number on the roof and the operator, ARL, Arriva London. That was done because they have high-level cameras looking down, so they, you know, to help control the buses. And the roof correctly for a London bus painted white to reflect heat. Basically, that was a Transport for London specification. Flip it over, you've got a decent amount of chassis detail. You've got the underside of the engine there, and the exhaust system and things. You've got various runs, cables and wires and things under there. the transmission, all looking pretty good. The interior was kind of what marked out Northcord models. Sorry, just adjust the light so you can see it. You can see the interior mirror is modelled. The driver's consoles, there's a bit of detail moulded into it. I don't know if you can see that. You've got the little ventilation holes there that the demister, the hot air would come out of to demist the windscreen. You've got the anti-assault panel there, cab door nicely modelled. The handrails are all separate with bell pushes on them. I think, yeah, you can just about see those through there. The floor is in a different colour to the seats. You've got the yellow bit of floor for the wheelchair bay modelled there. The other thing is really the seat backs are the same colour as the rest of the seats, so you could, if you took the bus apart, just paint the seat backs. To be honest, I don't usually bother because Northcord models are that good inside that if you paint them, you just tend to make them look worse, to be honest. And a nice feature of Northcord models as well, the side walls of the interior are part of the interior unit. So they go up so that they're done in the correct colour, basically, as you can see there. It's kind of a grey blue colour. Whereas most models, you just see the interior of the metal side sprayed in whatever colour the bus actually is. But no, that the side walls again are part of the interior unit. So they're in a decent realistic colour, which is a really, really nice feature. But yeah, lovely interiors on Northcord models, Creative Master Northcord. Really, really nice indeed. So, how much will one of these vehicles cost you if you want to buy one? There is the bad news. Creative Master Northcord models generally are expensive to buy second hand. They're in demand, they command decent prices. The Enviro 200 in particular is extremely sought after. I don't know what happened really. They were released, they went, sold at normal prices. They appeared on the second hand market selling at fairly normal prices. You could pick them up if you were looking for like 20-25 quid. And then all of a sudden they just vanished. The supply of them seemed to disappear. It seemed that the people who bought them second or third hand were people who wanted to just keep them. So the supply of them onto the second hand market just dried up, and a handful that are available command massive prices. You've seen the state of this. It doesn't have a box, it doesn't have any mirrors, it doesn't have any wipers, and it's got glue on the windows and a big fingerprint there and various other issues and bits and pieces. And it still cost me £49.99 plus £3.39 postage, so £53.38 for a bus in that condition. As regular viewers of my channel will know, I don't usually pay a lot for models, so if I've paid that much for one, you can tell that that's actually a cheap price. I've had a look on eBay for the purposes of this video. I'm doing it in January 2025. The cheapest one I could find was £69.50 plus £4.20 postage and packing. That was £73.70 all in. It was a Headingham Omnibuses liveried vehicle, and it had the mirrors missing. It had a box, but it had its mirrors missing. So yeah, £73.70. That was the cheapest one I could find. The most expensive was £184.15. That was £179.95 plus £4.20 postage and packing. So £184.15 all in. And that was the Stagecoach Bluebird. Only 5 Enviro 200s are available on eBay when I looked. So that, across all of the listings for eBay UK, there are only 5 models available. I looked at various other dealers, including Liz Keith and TTC Diecast. None of them had any in stock at the moment. That's how rare they are. So yeah, you're looking basically between £70-75 up to a couple of hundred, depending on which model you want. They are very, very expensive indeed, and that is why the Pacer Chaser, who is notoriously tight with buying his models, has paid £53.38 for a model in that condition. It is a nice model, it's worth having, but you will have to sort of take a deep breath before you pay that kind of price for one. As always, thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves. I will see you again soon, and bye for now.